My challenge has also been like working with the multiple PIs. It's time consuming. And when you have the time to work on the project, that is the time that you have to wait for another PI to respond. When he or she is not responding at that time, then the time that you have, the time that you will not have the allotted time to work on the project, and then you are already working on something else, that is when that PI has made a decision to give you the feedback. And when the complete feedback is in, you are expected to go back to work on. So it's like, it's a dicey situation, and it creates a lot of challenge. Yeah, I don't have specific to say about the PI time, but like working in multiple PI really is time challenging, and it causes a lot of constraint.
It depends on what works for you and the PI or other people working on the project, but I would definitely have a conversation with them and say, okay, if I need to ask you a question, do you want me to text you? Do you want me to email you? Do you want to just have a quick call? I found for Marissa and I, it works best if I either just mention it at our weekly meetings, or I can just shoot her a text during the week and just be like, hey, I'm really stuck on this, help. And she'll be like, okay, sure. Make that a conversation when you first get started with the project, because that will be vital. And then if anything needs to change, it can, but at least you have a point to go off of, or like a baseline.
For other team members, it's a bit tricky. Like I said, it depends on where everyone is in their journey with RDM. If they're not at the place where they're fully comfortable with it, then it would have to be seen as a different task, right? You would have to have more conversations about it and just be more open about saying things like, oh, it is part of your job to do the research data management, like it's part of the research process, and just being vocal about it till everyone is comfortable with it, and let them realize like it's still part of the research process. Like I've said, there's no way to really separate research data management from the research process, because if you don't have that, then you're just going to lengthen the research process in the long run, right? Imagine if you have to come back to update analysis, but you don't have any documentation on that, then you're extending the research time. So just constant reminder that research data management is part of the research process. It's important for us to treat it that way, and it won't have any issues with time.
Yeah, I think just putting it on the agendas of your meeting, and I think it's one of those things that you would want to have as like a standing item, so that you're always thinking about it, and that you don't feel like you have to take back time, or you're taking time, like it's just your process and you're just going to talk about it. Sort of like how we booked all of the meetings right at the start of the semester. You know that this is what you're going to do, and so keeping that energy throughout.
For our project, Sarah and I have been really good at checking in weekly, in our general meetings about what I've been doing. And when I've come to a particular challenge, her and I have just set aside time, one-on-ones, to really work through the data, simplify and do all of those things. It's been great working with her and being able to dedicate that time.
We kind of were like, okay, how is our supervisor-student relationship gonna go moving forward? And we decided that weekly check-ins would be good, just for like, okay, this is what I've done this week. It doesn't even have to be related to her project, but just like checking in and making sure that we're both good.
So that conversation also spills into like things like version control and like all sorts of organizing and all sorts of ways that you're going to work together. And when you already have that time, like at the beginning of your meeting, then you're good. Like, for example, my PI and I talked about this data management and data champions work at each of our meetings, because I was working on this, and so then we'll just sort of keep that energy going, because I think it really I just think it sets you up really nice. So.
series is brought to you by Spark, a Center for Social Research Innovation.